Hey everybody, it's Verbal D, and we're going to jump right into it. My afterthoughts of Genesis chapter 30, verse 1. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, Leah, and said unto Jacob, Give me children, or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, Am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? Right? Jacob saying, Am I God? Do I control this? And she said, Behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah her handmaid to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived, and bare Jacob a son. So this instance right here is like Jacob's grandfather, Abraham, right? Abraham had Sarah. Sarah was impatient, saying, just give me children. I'm never going to have a child. And then she didn't think she was going to have a child in old age, especially Abraham being in old age as well. And then she ended up interjecting God's will and God's plan and giving him Hagar, her handmaid, the Egyptian, right? And then Abraham went unto Hagar, had sex with her, and then she conceived Ishmael, who turned out to be a wild man. And his 12 prince generation was also a wild generation, right? So here we have Rachel obviously envying and being jealous, which is not a trait of God in terms of, coveting other people's things. God is a jealous God. Don't get it misinterpreted. But he's only jealous that we worship false idols and false gods, statues and idols that do not speak or cannot guide us spiritually. There is no other real God besides the God himself. And obviously, if you were the creator, right, put yourself in his shoes, and you know that all these other creations, from these creations, we are creations and we create false idols. And he knows that you're not giving him the due worship that he deserves, because he's a great God. He's full of love, mercy, and forgiveness, right? That's the only reason why he would be jealous, that you would give your love to an inanimate and unreal object or a spiritual being, or even a demonic fallen angel who has deceived people into thinking that he is the true God as opposed to our Lord and Savior, right? So anyways, she's jealous of Leah, and obviously God has sewed up her womb and will not let her have children because she already has Jacob's love, right? Jacob loves Rachel way more than Leah, and Leah is hated by Jacob, right? Verse 6, And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son, therefore called she his name Dan, right? The first of the 12 tribes of Israel. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and bare Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, With great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. And when Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. Right, so Jacob's being blessed with all these women to wife, right? He's getting many wives and becoming a king of many great nations, as was part of the covenant and the blessings that God had reserved for Jacob through Abraham and Isaac. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, A troop cometh, and she called his name Gad. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son, and Leah said, Happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed, and she called his name Asher. So it kind of looks like, Rachel and Leah are obviously fighting a war in the terms of conceiving sons for Jacob, so that they can be all a great nation, right? And bless Jacob, being blessed by being vessels of God, so that he can use them to bless Jacob with the covenant that he has promised to fulfill, right? And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. So, they're fighting over the man. They're fighting over Jacob and these mandrakes. I actually forgot what mandrakes are. Let's check it out. Mandrakes. A Mediterranean plant of the nightshade family with a forked, fleshy root, which supposedly resembles the human form and which was formerly used in herbal medicine and magic. It was alleged to shriek when pulled from the ground. Well, God's not a fan of magic, so I don't know about that. But herbal medicine, that's all right with us, right? And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. Now, this is not a form of prostitution, right? This is his wife, and she's just merely saying, I gave your other wife, my sister, mandrakes, and she promised me that me and you could have a little bit of special time together. But the way that she worded it was kind of weird, For surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes, so sleep with me, right? God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bare Jacob the fifth son. And Leah said, God hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and bare Jacob the sixth son. And Leah said, God hath endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And afterwards she bare a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her, and opened her womb. Right? God didn't forget Rachel. And she conceived, and bare a son, and said, God hath taken away my reproach. Now just to double back on the word reproach, to express to one's disapproval or of disappointment in their actions. So God reproached Rachel because she envied Leah. Not only that, Jacob loved Rachel and hated Leah. And it wasn't Leah's fault that her father tricked Jacob into giving Leah to Jacob. Laban tricked Jacob when they had the feast, right? It's not her fault. Maybe she wanted to be the first eldest daughter to marry this handsome guy, Jacob, who had everything going for him, right? So God remembered Rachel and opened her womb, right? And she conceived and bare a son and said, God hath taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, right? The same Joseph, I believe, that is the interpreter of dreams, of course. And said, The Lord shall add to me another son. And it came to pass when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, Send me away, that I may go unto my own place, and to my own country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go. For thou knowest my service, which I have done thee. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry. For I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. And he said, Appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude, and the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming. And now when shall I provide for mine own house also? Right? Jacob said, I'm tired of helping you. I gave you everything. I paid my dues, worked 7 years for Rachel. You tricked me. I married her. Then you gave me Rachel after me serving another 7 years. That's 14 years of my life. And I'm still here. I want to provide for my own family and take care of my own household. I don't need to be here for you. And you want me to stay here because obviously the Lord blesses me and indirectly blesses you, just like it says, for the presence of the nations of Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham, will the other people be blessed. Even though Laban is, the same bloodline, but still, Laban knows that he's being blessed just because Jacob's even there, right? He's just using him. Verse 31. And he said, What shall I give thee? And Jacob said, Thou shalt not give me anything. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flock. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before thy face. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. Right? And Laban said, Behold, I would it might be according to thy word. So let's see, we'll read this one more time. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before thy face. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. I guess that's what he's saying. He's not saying he's stealing them. He's basically saying every one that's not speckled and spotted, all the pure colored goats and obviously the pure white sheep, those are Laban's, and they're stolen away from Jacob, because he's basically saying, I'll take the imperfect, blemished ones, right? Even though he should deserve also the pure, clean-looking ones as well. And Laban said, Behold, it might be according to thy word, right? And he removed that day the he-goats that were ring-straked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. Right? I don't know, maybe I got this wrong, because apparently it means Laban is giving all the ring-straight and spotted into the hands of his sons. Jacob's sons. Okay, gave them into Jacob's sons. Okay, no, I got that right. Okay, and he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Right? Or, I don't know, sometimes in the Bible, I can't tell if it's his sons, Laban's sons, or Jacob's sons. But let's keep reading and see where this goes. Jacob took him rods of green poplar and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and pilled white strakes in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had pilled before the flocks in the gutters and the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle, ring-straked, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob did separate the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks toward the ring-straked, and all the brown in the flock of Laban. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not unto Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. Right? Because obviously Laban's not giving Jacob the cattle that are not in the gutters. He's got the cattle that are in the gutters, right? So he wants them to conceive. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maidservants, and menservants, and camels, and asses. Now, I still don't know from this little section if he received the ring-straked, spotted, and brown, speckled, or that was Laban's. All I know is that Jacob's got the stronger animals. That's all that matters, really. I don't care if it's speckled, spotted, but, I think God prefers the unblemished animals, hands down, over any speckled, ring-straked, and spotted, and browned, and partially white animals, right? He likes pure, and that's what he prefers, especially for the offerings and the sacrifices they used to do before Jesus Christ sacrificed his life for us. So that's a pretty long one right there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless.